What is up, guys? EJ here, aka Puckbond007, in for the Movie Reviewers 100. And unfortunately, this week is Tony Scott tribute week. We decided to move this week up after the tragic suicide of great director Tony Scott last Sunday. Very sad day. So the movie I'm going to talk about today is Top Gun. And I chose this film for a number of reasons, which I'll get into. But one of the main ones is this is one of the films I really grew up to love when I was a kid. It's one of the few movies that I owned on VHS when I lived in England, and I've watched it dozens and dozens of times. I watched it all the time back in the late '80s and early '90s when I was like a young 10, 11, 12-year-old. And one of the main reasons I really loved this film is because I was in love with a girl at my school called Samantha, and she kind of resembled Kelly McGillis. So it's kind of reason I've always had a soft spot for this film. I just love Kelly McGillis in this film. And of course, like I said, Top Gun from 1986, of course, directed by Tony Scott, produced by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, starring Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis. The story of a young hotshot fighter pilot named Pete Mitchell, call sign Maverick, played by Tom Cruise. He's sent to the fighter school in San Diego at Miramar, Fighter Town, USA, as it's affectionately called, to become part of the class of Top Gun, where it takes the top 1% of all naval jet fighter pilots to train them and see who's the best of the best. Of course, I don't really have to go into much detail about the plot of the film. Of course, he goes head to head with Val Kilmer, who plays Iceman, along with his buddy Goose, played by Anthony Edwards, and of course he meets Kelly McGillis's character in the bar one night, and finds out later on that she's one of the civilian evaluators at this school. Her call sign is Charlie. You've got other great actors in this movie: Tom Skerritt as Viper, Michael Ironside as Jester. I love the fact that Tim Robbins is in this film as Merlin. And it's a film that, of course, made call signs popular. All the ones I mentioned. You've got Slider, Hollywood, Wolfman, all these great call sign names. And it's basically, as the documentary, which I also watched on disc 2 of this DVD. It's called Danger Zone: The Making of Top Gun. It's a 6-part documentary. I also watched this last night. I was up till like 2 in the morning watching it. It's the way Tony Scott wanted to make the film originally was going to be a sort of apocalypse now on a battleship. That's the way he put it, because his prior film to that, The Hunger, a sort of dark and brooding vampire film, he wanted to make Apocalypse Now on a battleship. But Bruckheimer and Simpson didn't want that. The studio didn't want that. They wanted a sort of rock and roll, high-octane action movie. And that's what we have. They also sort of try to make it into a sports movie. That's why you have the locker room scenes and the whole competition between Maverick and Iceman to see who's the best fighter pilot. And of course you also have the infamous volleyball scene that a lot of people really remember from this movie. 4 guys with their shirts off playing volleyball in the sun, to Kenny Loggins playing with the boys. And that brings me to the soundtrack of the film. It's one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. It's one of my favorite soundtracks from the 80s. I love the main Top Gun anthem, which was written by Harold Faltermeyer and Steve Stevens. And I love Danger Zone, the song by Kenny Loggins as well. And of course, the quintessential love ballad of the 80s, Take My Breath Away by Berlin. And I'm also very fond of Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick, which plays during the credits. But yeah, so I love at the beginning of the film you hear that like boom and then and then it's goes into that main theme. It just jacks me up for this film every time I watch it. And then you've got all the planes landing and taking off on the aircraft carrier. Um, it's just a great movie. I won't say it has aged well as I thought. This is like the first time last night that I actually sat down and watched the whole thing without any distractions in probably 15, 20 years. I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid, like I said. So my recollection of it is still pretty good, but I don't know. It's definitely an 80s film, I'll put it that way. I should also mention the great scene where, of course, Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards try and pick up Kelly McGillis in the bar, and they use the song um, You've Lost That Loving Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. That's a classic moment, and it's also brought back at the end of the film when Kelly McGillis's character turns on the jukebox to play that song, um, to sort of notify that she's in the bar that Tom Cruise is sitting in at the end of the movie. Um, Meg Ryan is also in the film. That's another person I should mention, as Goose's wife or girlfriend. And it's a very sad moment when Goose dies. I mean, everybody knows and remembers when Goose dies during the flat spin of the Tomcat F-14. He tries to eject out of the crashing plane, but he ejects right into the canopy, and I guess breaks his neck, or um, yeah, he basically breaks his neck, or gets knocked out somehow and ends up dying. That's a very sad moment, and it sort of dominates the second half of the film of Top Gun. And I'm also struck when I look back at this movie before I watch it again. I always think, damn, that's a really good. The way they showed all the jet fighting scenes. I mean, they all did it practically and in like real time. They actually shot air to air. All these jet fighters, the real guys who do it, they actually went up there and shot all these guys flying around in these planes. It's none of it is CGI. The only sort of special effects are like the blow up effects, the missile effects, the gun effects. At the end firefighting scene, and they all did that with the practical models and stuff. Watching the documentary on the back here really sort of shed light on that kind of stuff. I really wanted to know how that stuff was done, because I've always thought it was done like in real life, and it always sort of amazes me. This film is 25 years old now, almost, and yeah, it's a great looking movie. It's a definitive Tony Scott film because, like I said, it was his second movie. Bruckheimer and Simpson took a big chance in getting this director who had sort of a bomb with The Hunger, and they mainly hired him because he shot a commercial that involved a plane and a jet. So that's why they chose him, because he worked with fighter jets. And it was a big risk because it was all the people involved in the making of the movie were taking a big chance. Tom Cruise was not a star yet. This is, of course, the movie that turned him into a action movie star. And Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer became A-list producers. And Tony Scott went on to have a great career, albeit short, unfortunately. And this film really sort of shows his style throughout subsequent movies in that time period. Days of Thunder, the look is very similar, as is The Last Boy Scout and True Romance, I think. So yeah, this one of the main reasons I wanted to watch Top Gun again and review it for you guys. It's a great film from my childhood. Maybe it hasn't aged as well as I thought, but I still love it. I mean, how can you not love this film? Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis, the great cast. I also love the guy who plays the like commander at the beginning with the bald head. I forgot his name. I keep thinking it's Michael Rooker, but I know it isn't, and I forget the actor's name. He's awesome. He's got some great lines, especially towards the end. There's only one real thing that bugs me about this film, and I noticed it again last night during the dog fight at the end, when Val Kilmer is by himself and he's going up against six MiG-28s. There's a shot where there's like five planes and one does a roll, and there's like four others in the background, and Tom Cruise is on his way to like help him out. And then they showed the exact same shot again. It does the same roll, the four planes all doing the same maneuver, and they show that shot like twice in a row in the space of like 30 seconds. It always bugs me about Top Gun. But anyway, that is my review for this week, Tony Scott Tribute Week. Sorry if I went on a bit too long. I don't know how long this is now, but there you go. This is one movie I really wanted to do, and check out everybody else's reviews because it's an important week. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see ya.